Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Ted Del Toro, and I'm a creative based out of Texas. And in this tutorial, we will be cloning the PIXAR Studios website with HTML, CSS, and some quick JavaScript. For the most part, we will be cloning the site element by element, though I decided to add my own tweaks to some of the UI, and you'll see some of that as we get into it. So this is the actual site, and this is the finished clone here. This is what we'll actually be building. And as you can see, it's very similar and it is responsive, so we will be dealing with media queries. So as we get to a certain width, we will be getting rid of the desktop menu and implement a hamburger menu transition for the mobile version. The thing to take away from this tutorial is to learn how to build a website from scratch, either from a real-world website or a design. You can even make this as your own portfolio. For example, if you wanted to, just change everything to your liking, of course. So feel free to like and subscribe for more design to code related content. And if you enjoy this tutorial, share it with someone who could benefit from it. But also, guys, let me know in the comments if you all have any ideas as to what websites you'd like to see me build for a potential video in the future. I think those would be fun to look at. Let's get into it. Alright, so before we get started, I did want to mention that I did create a code pen for this project. There will be a link in the description below. And you can use this for reference for the code, or to grab the image or logo links that we'll be using. So to get started, I will be using VS Code. Feel free to use any code editor that you wish. So we're going to just create a new folder here, and I'm going to name it PIXAR. And next I'm going to create two files, an index.html and a style.css. Alright, let's go ahead and create our boilerplate here. I will be using a VS Code extension called Emmet to help write the HTML faster. So I will be linking the style sheet here next. And next we'll go to Font Awesome and grab their icon kits, but to bypass creating an account and all that, let's just go to cdnjs.com and type in Font Awesome. Go ahead and click into that, go to the CSS tab, and just copy that link tag, and let's also paste that into our head here. Next, let's go ahead and grab our Google font, and it's called Alata or Alata. We'll go ahead and select this font and go to the embed code and copy and paste that into the head as well. And so that's it for the head. Let's go ahead and give this a title of PIXAR Animation Studios. And really quick, I do want to go ahead and just open this up in my browser. You can open it up in live server if you wish, but for the sake of the tutorial, I kind of just want to refresh and just see our changes as we go. And to get started with the HTML here, as far as the body goes, let's go ahead and just create a div with the class of menu-btn. This is actually going to be our hamburger menu icon. So we'll go ahead and grab that and put that into our div here, and it's actually going to have a class of FAS FA-BARS bars space FA-2X, and that's it for that. But quickly, let's go ahead and add a comment here of Navbar just to have our code documented section by section. And next, let's go ahead and create a nav element with the class of Navbar, and within the Navbar, let's go ahead and add a anchor tag with an extension of index.html. And within that, let's go ahead and add our logo, and it's going to be an image element, and the source attribute is going to be the PIXAR logo, and let's just go ahead and copy that image address and paste that right into the source attribute here. And let's go ahead and just name this PIXAR logo. Next, let's go ahead and create our unordered list for the navigation items right up here. And within that, let's go ahead and create a list item, and within that, an anchor tag to link those. And let's just go ahead and copy this 6 times. And for our href, let's just go ahead and put in a hash here to go nowhere. And our first one is going to be called featured films. Second is short films. Third is technology. Fourth will be careers. Fifth will be extras, and our last will be about. I actually created more than I should have, so let's just go ahead and get rid of that. Fix this. Next, let's just go ahead and let's give this styling now. Let me go ahead and save this, and let's refresh this. Next, let's create the styling here, and first I do want to give our stylings a CSS reset here. So let's just go ahead and create a comment here called CSS Reset. And to target everything, I'm going to type in the asterisk, and let's just give this a margin of 0, a padding of 0, a box sizing of border box. Our font family will be our custom Google font here. Comma sans serif for our secondary font. Next, let's target the body, and for the body, I'd like to give a height to it just so we can have some scrolling room. It's optional, I just like to do it. Let's target our anchor tags. Our anchor tags are all going to have the color of hash 1D, 1D, 1D. And a text decoration of none. Let's just go ahead and save that and see what it looks like now. Oh, great. Next, let's go ahead and target that hamburger menu that we created. So it's a menu dash button BTN, and let's go ahead and give a cursor to that, cursor pointer, a position of absolute, and let's just go ahead and bring that from the top of 20 pixels. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Okay, and the right, from the right, 20 pixels. Right. Let's go ahead and give this a Z index and bring it to the front of 2. And as we're currently working on the desktop version first, let's just go ahead and give this a display of none. We'll get back to this as we get into our mobile version. Alright, next let's go ahead and get started with our navbar. So I'm going to create a comment here of navbar. And let's see, let's target that, and first of all let's give this a background of #FFF, which is our current background color, a display of flex, Let's go ahead and save that. Okay. A justify content of space evenly will work. Great. And let's go ahead and give that a z index of 1. And a padding of 1 rem. Let's see how that looks like. Great. Next, let's target the unordered list. So Navbar, UL, and let's just get rid of those bullet points on our navigation items with the list style of none. Right. And then give this a display of flex so they can be side by side. To center it with the PIXAR logo, let's give this an align items of center. Great. Next, let's target them individually. So let's go ahead and target Navbar, UL, then our A tag, so we can target our anchor links. So let's give this a margin of 0. Top and bottom and left and right at 10 pixels. And let's just give this a letter spacing of 2 pixels so we can have some space between our letters. So let's just go ahead and take a quick look here. So this is the finished, and this is kind of where we're at right now. Also give this a text transform of uppercase and a font size of 15 pixels. Great. So as you can see, it's already starting to look like our clone here. And if you notice that there is a hover of a gray color, so let's go ahead and tackle that. So we'll go ahead and just grab this and let's target that again, except let's add colon hover and let's give that a color of hash of C2, C2, C2. Which is that gray. And as you can see here, we have those changes. And that's it for the nav bar. Now let's go back to our HTML here and let's start getting into the header image that we have here. So this is where we'll start getting into the Parallax JS let's see, I did notice that I did forget to add the hashtags inside of these anchor tags here, so let's go ahead and do that. And next, let's just go ahead and create a comment here called header image with Parallax JS. Let's go ahead and just comment that out. And let's see, let's go ahead and create a div here with a class of header image. And within that, let's go ahead and add the class of a logo image. This is going to be the onward logo that's going to go on top of the image itself. And let's just go ahead and create an image element here. And let's go ahead and hover over that and just copy the image address and let's paste that right into our file here. And let's just give the alt tag onward logo. And now what we want to do is go ahead and let's go to pixelcog.github.io/parallax.js and let's go ahead and download this. This is going to give us our parallax effect. So let's go ahead and download that, open that up, and let's go ahead and drag that file into our project here. And the file is called Parallax.js. And next, what it tells us to do is to actually grab these script tags here to officially install it and copy that. Let's go ahead and paste that right just before our body tags here. Let's actually fix this here to just have Parallax.js. And let's go ahead and go back to our header image here. And let's give that a data parallax attribute, and it's going to be equals to scroll. Okay, and the image that we want to target, we're going to have to put data dash image dash source, and this is where we're going to paste in our actual header image. But to grab that, I actually need to go into our code pen here, and let me go ahead and find that really quickly right here. Copy that. Let's go back and let's go ahead and just paste that right in, and let's save that. Let's see our changes. Great. Let's go ahead and start styling that. So let's go ahead and just leave a comment here of header image with Parallax JS. Let's go ahead and target that so it's a class of header image. And let's give that a min height actually of, let's see, 1200 pixels. Let's see how that looks. Great. We're getting somewhere. Next, let's go ahead and target that logo image, which is the onward logo. And let's give that a width of 80%. So that should shrink. Actually, I forgot to add the image element in there as well. So now it should. There we go. And let's kind of bring that down. So let's go ahead and give that a margin top of, let's say, 32%. There we go. And to center the onward logo, let's go ahead and actually right before this, let's give this a, let's target the logo dash image itself actually. And let's give that a text align center. Great. So as you can see, we're getting somewhere here. Next, we're going to target this area here. It's going to be our boxes are here in a container, and then this is our footer down here. So let's go ahead and jump into that next. Now let's go ahead and go back into our HTML here. Right below this, let's go ahead and start getting into the boxes. So let's go ahead and leave a comment here just called boxes. And let's take a quick look again here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and create a div here. It's going to be a container called boxes dash container. All right, and within that, I believe the first box was called careers at PIXAR. So let's go ahead and just make a div of careers dash box and an image element here. Let's go ahead and bring that in. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy the image address. And keep in mind, they're pretty long. They're using Squarespace, and this is kind of what Squarespace generates for the image. So it's a pretty long URL. So I just wanted to mention that. Let's go ahead and just create an alt name here of careers And actually inside of this div, we actually want to give this also an anchor tag to link that to their careers page, but we'll go ahead and just put a hash to go nowhere. And then let's give that text of careers at PIXAR. Cool. And we actually want to copy this twice since we have 3 boxes. So the second box, we can go ahead and just rename that to Soul box. And for the image, we can go ahead and go back to the site and copy their image address, and let's just go ahead and paste that particular image in. Let's go ahead and do the last one as well. So copy and paste that in. And now let's go ahead and fix that. I actually must have did something there. And let's go ahead and give this just an alt tag of Soul and a text of Soul. The last one will be, give just the name of Onward box and an alt tag of Onward and the text of Onward trailers. Let's go ahead and save this, and let's go ahead and see our changes here. All right, that's looking good. Now what we can do is we can go back and start targeting the CSS for that. So let's go ahead and actually create a comment. Boxes. Now let's go back to our HTML here to take a look, and let's go ahead and start targeting the boxes container here. So go ahead and do that. This container, and let's target the images first, just so we can kind of get them to a width of 100%. And let's go ahead and refresh that and see what we're looking at here. Okay, great. Now let's just go ahead and target the actual boxes container. And let's give this a display of grid. And the trick with the grid here is to give this a grid template columns of 25% each column. In this case, it's 3 columns. And let's go ahead and save that and see what happens here. Okay, great. So next, we want to give this a grid gap between these of 35 pixels. Let's go ahead and refresh that. And let's see the text align. Let's give that center and a justified content of center as well. Great, so that moves the text to the center as well as the items itself. So let's kind of bring that down. So let's give that a margin top of 150 pixels. And let's give that a font size of 13 pixels. And let's go ahead and text transform that. I believe, let me go ahead and make sure. Let's go ahead and refresh that. And yeah, they are capitalized. So let's go ahead and give that a text transform of uppercase. And let's see. There is some letter spacing there. Yeah, letter spacing of 5 pixels. That should do it. Now we do want to go back to our images itself, and let's give that a margin bottom of 25 pixels. Now let's go back to our HTML and let's go ahead and get into the footer area. So let's create a comment of footer. And let's go back to the finished clone here and let's take a look at that. Okay, so we have an image here with the icon links and a footer with, I guess, anchor tags we can go ahead and do because they're links, and some text down here. So let's go ahead and create a footer element here, and within that let's give a class to a div. You have footer items. Within all that, let's go ahead and target that image, and let's go ahead and copy that image address. Let's go ahead and paste that right into the source attribute. Let's just give this an alt tag of Disney Plus logo. Now let's see, under that, let's go ahead and save that, and then let's go ahead and see what we're looking at. Alright, so now let's bring in those social media icons. We got 4 here, so it's a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And let's go ahead and create an anchor tag within the div here. Let's put a hash in there, and let's see, create the icon tag, and then within that let's go ahead and give that a class of FAB space FA-Facebook-F. Let's go ahead and save that and see what happens here. Alright, so let's go ahead and copy this a few more times, so like 3 more times, and let's see, I also want to give this actually a target attribute here, so whenever they do click on this link it'll open up in a new tab, but you know, I think it's just a good thing to know if you don't know already. Not that, you know, when we click this it's not going to go anywhere, but just so you know, I think it's important. So let's just go ahead and get those in there. And let's see, the FA, this is gonna become Twitter, and this one's gonna become Instagram, and the last one is gonna be YouTube. Let's go ahead and save that, and as you can see we got them now, and let's go ahead and actually give this a break tag right under here, just so we can create that space between these two, because they're on the same line. So let's go ahead and break that, and let's go ahead and create a couple more of those, so 3 total. Now what we want to do is also bring in the anchor tags here, so we'll stay on this for a second. Let's create a couple of more breaking tags here for that. Let's create like 4 of them. Now let's create the anchor tags with a hash for the extension, and then let's name this one privacy policy. And what we're gonna do here is actually put 2 anchor tags side by side with a pipe in between, and let's go ahead and name this one terms of use. And what we're gonna do here is gonna copy this about 2 more times, so 3 total, and then this one's gonna be your California rights, children's online privacy policy. Interest-based ads. And the last is do not sell my info. And let's go ahead and save that and see what happens here. What we want to do now is kind of add some breaking tags so these can actually be on their own line. So let's go ahead and add a breaking tag right at the end of this, and same thing with this one, and that's it. So let's go to refresh that. All right, that's looking good. Now let's add a H6 for that bottom piece there. And we're actually going to want to copy this copyright logo that's already here. So we can actually create that H6, and then inside the H6, go ahead and paste that in. And then it's 1986 to 2020 Disney / PIXAR. Alright, but we do want to, let's see what happens here. Yeah, let's add a breaking tag like right here. Let's see what happens there. Alright. Yeah, that's looking good. So, you know what? Let me fix that really quick. Now let's go ahead and start styling this. So let's go ahead and go to the style.css. Let's go ahead and create a comment called footer. And let's go ahead and target footer and the footer items. So it's going to be footer, class footer items. And let's align this to the center, pretty much everything. Great. Now let's kind of bring that down. So let's give this a margin top. So from the top, we're gonna do about 150 pixels. See how that's looking? It's looking good. Now, let's focus on the icons themselves. Let's make them bigger. So it's gonna go to class footer items because they're within that div, and then the icon element. Let's give that a font size of 27. Let's see what we're looking like here. That's great. Let's target the image. So let's target the Disney Plus logo. Let's kind of make that a little bit smaller. So let's go to footer, items, img. Let's give that a width of 170 pixels. Great. We do want to add some spacing here between the icons. What we can do is come back to our HTML here, and let's also go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and press Shift and then 7. That creates an ampersand and an NBSP. This creates some spacing here. So let's go ahead and copy this and paste that like twice. And let's do that for each icon before the YouTube. So let's do that a couple times here. On the Twitter icon and the Instagram icon. Save that. And now we have that spacing. Let's go back to the clone here and try to see what we're looking at here. So let's go back to the styling. Now let's target the anchor tags below. So let's go to footer items. And then let's give that a font size of 14 pixels, and let's give that a letter spacing as well. But first, let me go ahead and save this and refresh. Okay, let's give that a letter spacing of, let's say, 3 pixels. Now Now let's see. Let's give that H6 down here. Let's give that some letter spacing as well. I believe that needs some letter spacing. So we can do the footer items and then target the H6, and let's give that some letter spacing of 2 pixels. And now we do need to go back to the HTML here and give this last anchor tag here a breaking tag, so we can have that space right in between there. There you go. And we actually want to make some more breaking tags right under the H6 to create some more spacing there. Let's copy about that like 4 times, I would say. So as you can see that we're pretty much like done with the desktop version for this project. So we're gonna move over to the responsive side and focus on the mobile next. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So I do have it pulled up here, and let's just go ahead and talk about this for a second. So here is the finished clone, and this is the original PIXAR Animation Studios website. And as you can see, there is differences in sizing and in font weight, but keep in mind that I am using a Google font and they're using custom fonts, so we're actually limited on what we could use. And this particular font that we used with Google Fonts, it only has 1 font weight, so I just want you guys to keep that in mind as we go through this. Let me go ahead and copy this, and let's paste that right into, actually gonna copy the one that we're working on and paste it right into our mobile window here and paste that right in. So we are gonna start getting into the last part eventually, which is the mobile menu here. So as you can see, we added some quick JavaScript to make that possible, and with that little transition as well. So we'll get into that. Now let's go ahead and go back into our CSS. To get started, let's create a comment here just of mobile. And next, to create a media query, we're gonna just do this here, which is the @media screen and open parentheses, and this is where we'll give that width a max width of 640 pixels. That's what we'll go ahead and give that, and everything within this media query will change based on when the screen size window or the device is within the 640 pixel range. So remember when we created that menu-btn up here, we're gonna actually target that right now and bring that back. So let's go ahead and target the menu-btn. Now we're gonna bring that back with a display of block for this screen size. So we're in that screen size now. So there we go. We got that back. Let's go ahead and give that a size, a font size of 12 pixels. Cool. And I'll mention that as you can see on their site, their mobile menu is a little bit thinner. So what we'll do is, I learned this neat trick, I guess, if you want to call it that, from researching. So it's going to be -webkit -text -stroke, and we're going to give this stroke size of 2.5 pixels, and we're just going to give that a color of FFF, which is white. And as you can see, now we got that thinner hamburger menu icon. Now instead of targeting the navbar right now, let's go ahead and wait for that to last. Let's just focus on getting these responsive first. So let's go back to the finished clone here and take a look here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is So yeah, let's go back to our HTML here and let's take a quick look at which class we need to target. And it looks like it's the boxes dash container. So let's go ahead and target that. So boxes dash container, and give this a display of grid. And next, a grid template columns of 1 FR. This will bring everything into one column. So when we refresh this, now we do have that one column as opposed to 3 columns. Now, let's see. When I make this bigger here, I want to keep in mind that text is centered, and also let's go ahead and bring this a little bit up a little bit. So let's give that a margin top of 70 pixels. And that's it for the boxes container. What we do want to target next is the boxes container img, so the images themselves, and let's give that a width of 90%. Great. Now, I did want to go back up here, and let's go ahead and start getting into the image here, because as you can see it's quite long. We do need to fix the height on that, so let's target that. So it's header image, I believe, and let's give that a min height of 700. So I believe it was like at 1200 before. So let's give that a min height of 700 pixels, and we refresh that. So you can see we do got that now. So that's it for that. Let's target the logo, because as you can see it's not where it should be. It should be kind of like on the height of their waist level. So let's see, that's going to be class of logo image. Yeah. And let's give that a text align of center. Now let's give the image itself, or the logo itself, instead of the container, a width of 90%. Do you kind of want to make it slightly bigger, and we also want to bring that down some, so we'll give that a margin top. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, let's give that a margin top of 80%. Cool. As you can see, we're getting there, and the reason why it looks slightly different now is because we still need to do the navigation up here, which we'll get to next. Now let's come back up here and let's create those classes. So let's target our navbar here, and navbar, and let's go ahead and give that a justify content of flex start and save that. Next thing we want to target is the UL within the navbar. So that's navbar UL, and let's go ahead and bring that into a block. Let's turn that into a block level element from a flex. Cool. Let's give this a position of absolute, and when we do that, it'll go to the start of its container. And let's give that a top of 0 and a left of 0. And when we do this, you'll see that it goes right into that corner there. And now we just want to give this a background. Let's see, let's give that a background of #FFF. And when we save that, you'll now see that we created this just like their website here, but we do need to extend the width size to 90% of width because it reaches that far. And the height is actually going to be the viewport height, but we'll go ahead and enter 100%. So go ahead and do that. And let's give it some padding of 30 pixels. Top, right 0, bottom is 0, and from the left 45 pixels. Great. Now we're going to add a transform here, and what this is going to do for us is once we add this translate X here and with the negative 570 pixels, you'll see that it'll disappear because once we click this, we'll create a class called show, and once that happens, it'll bring this back out. And so when we comment this out, we'll see this. And let's go ahead and just make that quick transition while we're at it here. So let's give this a transition and then a transform of 0.5 seconds and then an ease in out. Let's go ahead and save that. Alright. So let's go ahead and create that class, and so it's going to be within the navbar and the UL, and we're going to call it show. And what that is, we're going to give that a transform and then a translate X of negative 20 pixels. And the reason why we're giving this a negative 20 pixels on our element show that we're going to create with JavaScript is actually because those list items, the navigation menu, it's a little bit too toward the center. We actually just kind of want to bring that back a bit. Alright, next let's target the anchor tags within the navbar. So we'll go ahead and go to navbar UL A. And now let's give that a text transform of capitalize. But first, let's actually comment this out so we can still see our changes. So now we have that, let's actually give that a line height of 2. So we have some height between them, and let's give that a font size of 18 pixels. So as you can see here, we got that pretty on point. I wanted to mention that you can see these little gray arrows on their mobile menu here. So I went ahead and dug around a little bit more to figure out how they went about doing that. So we'll go ahead and do that in a second. I do notice that we do need to get rid of the hover on the mobile menu here because on their site there is no hover, just on the desktop version. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So let's go ahead and give that a navbar, target the UL and the A, and let's give that a hover. And let's give that a color of 1D, 1D, 1D. And like I said, let's go ahead and create those arrows. Let's target the navbar UL. And let's see, let's give that a name of mobile arrows, and then colon after. And what we'll have here is a content of open single quotes and space backslash 00BB and a font family of sans serif. Then a color of RGBA 0,0,0.4 for the alpha. Let's go ahead and save that. And as you can see, there's nothing there because we need to create this class still. So let's go ahead and copy this. And let's go back into our HTML. And let's go ahead and go to the LIs here. And within the LIs, except for feature films, let's go ahead and paste that right into the anchor tags here. Let's give that a class, mobile arrows, just like that. And let's go ahead and copy this and paste that into each anchor tag and save. And when we do that, now they show up. So let's go back to our style. And I do believe we have something off in the styling here. And it's actually, this is supposed to be together. And now you see those have gray color to them. And I just kind of wanted to add that to the project. So next, let's go ahead and actually hide this. Let's go ahead and hide this now. And so as we compare, the logo is actually supposed to be smaller for PIXAR. So we'll take a look at that. But I think we do need to create a class still for that. And I think I forgot to go ahead and do that originally. So let's go ahead and add that. So let's go ahead and add a class within this image tag here, and let's go ahead and give that a class of logo. And let's go back to the CSS and target that, and let's give that a width of 80 pixels. Great. Now next, let's go ahead and get into the JavaScript. So we'll create a new file here called script.js. And at this point, let's go ahead and link that in to our HTML here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that ready. And let's go back to our script.js. And what we're gonna do here now is go ahead and type in document.query selector. And let's go ahead and target that menu button. So it's gonna be single quotes and then the class of menu-btn. And let's go ahead and add an event listener here. So let's go ahead and add that and look for a click. So let's go to open single quotes, click, and then comma. Let's go ahead and add an arrow function in here. Document dot query selector again, and open single quotes. Let's target the navbar UL element, and right after that, let's go ahead and add dot class list, and this is where we're going to toggle and look for a class of show, which is what we added into our CSS. And so we're going to do this open single quotes, and let's go ahead and add that. And let's go ahead and add the semicolon at the very end, save that. And to explain further on this JavaScript right here, we're targeting our hamburger menu-btn from the DOM. We're listening for a click on it, then passing in an arrow function, selecting the mobile menu we created that's now in hiding, and then adding the property of class list with the method of toggle to create the class of show dynamically in JavaScript. And refresh, and let's take a look at what just happened here. Once we click that, now we got that menu coming out. So as you can see, if we go back to the CSS here, we have that transition activated. So if we go ahead and comment that out and refresh it, and then try that again, you'll see that it just kind of pops up. So when we add that transition, refresh, and click the hamburger menu, it kind of eases in. And really quick, if we take a look at the finished clone here, and just kind of compare, I did notice that we do have a typo here. So let's go ahead and go back to our HTML here, and let's go ahead and add that privacy right between your California and rights. So let's go ahead and save that now. And that's actually it. You know, congratulations to finishing it. Thanks for checking out the tutorial. I definitely hoped you learned something new here. And you know, I feel that this is the best way to get started. We made a couple of mistakes along the way, some typos along the way, and this is really how you learn, by building out from like designs or your favorite websites or a project that you have in mind that you're passionate about building. You know, Google is your best friend, and this is how I really got my hands dirty and learned. You know, if you all have any websites you'd like to see me build for a future tutorial, you know, feel free to leave a comment and I'll check it out. And leave a comment for any questions you might have as well. Like and subscribe to see more related design to code content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.